Today, we're joined by Jessica Graeser, VP of Marketing at NinjaCat. She's someone who has spent the last 15 plus years building B2B SaaS marketing engines that actually drive revenue. Jessica understands how data, creativity, and strategy can be a powerful combination, and she has a refreshingly honest take on what's working, what's not, and where AI is truly earning its keep with modern marketing teams. We talk about using AI to make sense of massive amounts of marketing data and why some AI experiments completely flop. We also get into enterprise go-to-market strategy, ABM, podcasting, and what it really takes to build a marketing team that scales without burning out. If you care about smarter marketing, better measurement, and using AI without losing your fundamentals, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining LiftKit Marketing Podcast. Danielle, how you doing today?
Great. How was your week? What are you excited about?
It's good. I think some of the fun things that are happening right now is you're seeing year end. It's mid-December. So the Spotify wrap, right? And now I noticed LinkedIn is doing one as well. I don't know if they've done that before, but there's some interesting takes on that. I don't know. I think Facebook used to do that as well, but I haven't seen it yet. I don't know. What's your take on those things?
What's my wrap on wraps?
Yeah. What's your wrap on wraps?
Well, I think Spotify did a good job. I had never used Spotify, even though we are available to listen to on Spotify. And now introducing just a little plug on Apple Podcasts, which we're really excited about because that's what I primarily listen to. So thanks for making sure we're on that one, John. But Spotify, it was fun because it came up with really silly statistics that meant nothing, but it said I was 24. Oh, I was pretty excited about that.
I was 27. I don't know.
So we're like young listeners, but a lot of people were not. So I was.
Yeah, I don't know what the algorithm behind that is, but I'm sure I got to jump on a Reddit feed and somebody's broken it down somehow.
Yeah, well, I think they did purposely just to like polarize people and make people frustrated. Like, why am I older? But the LinkedIn one, I don't know if you've seen. It was kind of a joke. It sounds like a lot of people have been getting the same exact information. And so I feel like wraps are only fun if you actually have data that's worth sharing. And that's the whole point of a wrap, is to make it shareable content where people like not just feel good, because if you're telling people like LinkedIn was, this is how many days you were on the platform. And it sounds like that was maybe just BS anyway, but that doesn't make somebody feel good. Instead being like, you made all these connections and you applied for, this many people looked at your profile. Like that would have been more interesting content, and put some sort of silly thing on that would have been shareable. But instead it was like, you connected with this person the most, and it was my boss. So I was like, yep, that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. Yep. One of my clients was my most connected. The one thing that stood out to me was like, I was always trying to figure out how long I've been on LinkedIn. And yeah. I think you could probably figure out the date somehow, but it told me, that my first connection was made in 2005. Now I'm questioning it because I thought maybe I was more like 2007. But anyway, that was the thing that I shared.
Mine was 2011, so it's probably legit.
But people are sharing little screenshots of it. And I think, Danielle, you came across a string of conversations.
Yeah, you want me to share it?
Yeah, where people were basically saying we all have the same stats for certain things, which makes you question everything.
Yeah, right. It does. So Tass, she and Tim have actually a really great podcast on marketing as well. But they were commenting and comparing notes that all of the data was the same. So it's like, and then there's 705 comments, of basically people saying, wait, this is the same information that I have. So it is definitely a miss for LinkedIn because, again, they didn't really give you when people are just sharing the content of, wait, that's the same stuff I had, and not in an interesting way. Like when Spotify was like, here's your age, and other people are like, oh my gosh, that's my age too. But this, it was like, wait, is this data even real? That was a huge miss. So I think the wrap on wraps is it's got to be useful, shareable, funny content. Otherwise, it's just, it does opposite effect. Unfortunately, fortunately for LinkedIn, nobody's going to like leave the platform because
Right. Right. Yeah.
we all still want to make those networking connections. And that's not why we're on the platform either.
Yeah. So more to come. I'm sure there might be some other wraps. You think about your bank. Like your bank can do a recap of your year and tell you, where you're spending and look at all the data.
Right.
I'd like to see more of it. I find it interesting. I'm not sure how to leverage it, but with LinkedIn, if it could do more of an analysis in the analytics piece of it, like the types of posts that I did and how certain types performed versus others, that's where the marketing brain starts to come out in me. And I know that I can download all the data from LinkedIn and put it into a sheet and do some of my analysis, maybe run it through some AI and have it feed it back to me. But there's a lot of manual stuff. Like I've got some LinkedIn management services that I do for some of my clients, and I'm tracking the media type, the post type, the indirect, direct. Was it a carousel? Was it a video? All that. LinkedIn doesn't do that for you. So you have to kind of do that yourself and then run the analysis at the end of the year to determine, or at the end of the quarter, and optimize and build like that. But let's get into it. I'm excited about our guest today. It's Jessica Graeser from NinjaCat. And NinjaCat's a company that I used to work for. Really loved that company, the culture, the people. Really excited to have her on. I'm going to do a quick intro, a bio that I've built up. This isn't provided by her, so she's going to have to grade it and do a little fact checking on it here once we pull her on screen. But Jess is the VP of marketing at NinjaCat. So she's spent more than 15 years building high-performance marketing engines for fast-growing B2B SaaS companies. She's worked across demand gen, account-based marketing, brand storytelling, and analytics, connecting awareness all the way through pipeline in ways that are measurable, scalable, and repeatable. At NinjaCat, Jessica's built the company's marketing engine from the ground up, following a Series A. She's led a full brand refresh to move upmarket into the enterprise and pioneered the use of AI across marketing operations to drive efficiency and growth with a lean team. She works at the intersection of technology, data, and creativity. She's deeply focused on creating better customer experiences through smarter use of data and automation. She's also the co-host of NinjaCat's podcast, What Gets Measured, with Jacob Sanders. Now, more than 100 episodes in, she's exploring everything from analytics and performance measurement to leadership, experimentation, and even a few unexpected creative twists along the way. Her work and perspective recently earned her recognition as one of Qualified's 30 agentic marketers to watch. And before NinjaCat, she held senior positions at Signal, which was acquired by TransUnion, where she led enterprise marketing strategy, ABM programs, large-scale performance initiatives. She's also led pro bono marketing efforts for public health technology, helping launch Arizona's official COVID-19 exposure notification app during the pandemic. Wow. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you. Wow, what an introduction.
I mean, was it, scale of 1 to 10? I mean, what's the fact check there?
Yeah,
We good?
I'll
We good?
give you 10. You think you
All
nailed
right.
it. Thanks.
That's
Thanks for
like,
doing the research.
80% me just grabbing stuff off the internet and plugging it into ChatGPT to see what it comes up with.
It worked.
So
You
Don't
did
give away
it.
all your trade secrets, John.
there's no, yeah. If you're not doing that, then that's a problem, right? I mean, that's one of the benefits, right?
Yes. Jess, nice to meet you. We haven't met before, so I'm really excited to dive in and to get to know you. I do have do you have anything on what was your age on Spotify Wrapped?
Yeah. What's your rap on Raps?
Yeah, so I was 78, which doesn't really surprise me. I lean like some older music, but what was funny is I have a separate Spotify profile for my 3-year-old, and he was 82, according to his rap. Like somehow I'm even like digging deeper into like old school music for him. So I
Now
guess
I
he's an
really
old
want
soul.
to dive into that algorithm. Like, what is going on there? Did you do your LinkedIn one?
I did. I did my LinkedIn one, which I think this is the first year that I've ever noticed it in any case. I don't know if they've done it before, but it was kind of fun. Yeah, I don't feel like there's anything particularly surprising that came out of that one for me.
How many days were
I
you on LinkedIn?
I don't remember a lot, but I think I'm pretty much during the weekday always on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's such a channel right now for B2B marketing. So I do feel like I am on there more this year than even in years past, I would say. Uh, but yeah, and then the interesting thing that I thought was kind of funny is that it said my most connected person was the CEO of our company. So I guess we're really aligned,
Yeah.
marketing and
It's
the
like, oh,
executive team, very aligned.
it's like, thank you for this information that I
Yes.
already knew.
Yeah, what do I do with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, a
exactly.
lot of people are sharing that. They're doing a screenshot and making a post out of it, which I'm sure LinkedIn loves that. And that was probably their intention, was like, oh, people will repost this and promote it and whatnot. But yeah, I think people are having the most fun with that piece of it.
Well, not to change the subject, but
But
I
you're going to change the subject.
yeah, I'm gonna change the subject.
But
That's what I'll
anyways,
say before. But I have something fun to share because if people are watching on YouTube, they'll have to see this. But I have a young child, 7 years old, must have overheard John and I talking about our next guest because I found this morning on the coffee table, and I'm just pitching it as
oh
maybe the
my
new,
gosh,
um, logo for NinjaCat.
I love it. I could totally see it.
It is a cat ninja but
That
from a
is
7 year old. It's
adorable.
pretty I thought it was really talented. I was really excited about it. And I was like, oh my
So
gosh, that's
cute.
so funny. And there's actually, you can see there's like two more, but there's like a series, and one is like got its one of its arms or legs out. I don't know where this idea came from. So anyway, just want to pitch that as, like a little mascot for Ninja
We're
Cat.
related. When I first got to NinjaCat and I started diving into analytics, and John mentioned we did a brand refresh and launched the new site. I like, why are we getting all of this traffic from it was like schools, elementary schools, high schools, and I was like, I couldn't figure it out. And then I talked to a friend who happens to be an elementary school teacher, and she's like, oh, well, that sounds like kids. They probably go to the library and they're like, what's cool? Ninjas, cats, search it, and what shows up? NinjaCat.io. So yeah, it definitely has a following of the elementary school set, Ninja
Well,
Cat.
there's always some of the big corporations, you know, do marketing to younger audiences.
Just planning for
Yeah,
the
get them
future.
early. Get them
Yeah.
early. Yeah.
So,
Lock them in on those, like, yeah, that data path that they're just like, oh, marketing analytics. I can't get enough.
it's a wave of the future. So, what we like to do in our podcast is a chance to lift you up. And so that really starts at the beginning. What we find is a lot of marketers don't really start their high school and college careers in thinking about being a marketer. So, we'd love to just start at the beginning and get to know you a little bit more. When did you decide that marketing was the path for you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I would count myself in that bucket of nonlinear path into marketing. I certainly didn't think that is where I would end up. I really didn't know, to be honest. But I have like a common thread for me has always been I've loved writing and I love visual communication. So I would say that's where it started. And I went to college, as I mentioned to you guys before, in the Twin Cities at McAllister College, which is liberal arts school. So I was majoring in art history. I was taking some media studies and comms classes, like marketing, business. Those were not majors at McAllister. It was very much, liberal arts driven. So the gateway for me, I think, I was thinking back through this kind of journey, was really what my work study job was in the computer lab. This was back in the day where people, came to computer labs. I don't know if this still exists, but we went to computer labs to like, do your email and all these things. And I was spending a lot of time there as the monitor or the kind of the go-to person to ask questions. I had a lot of downtime, and we had these really cool programs like Photoshop and Dreamweaver. This was all very new then. I mean, this was like, digital marketing like really wasn't a thing. But it was interesting to me. I'm like, this is fun. This is cool. So I started like dabbling in those programs just as an aside, and taught myself and like how to do that, and how to build little websites. And I didn't realize, these are skills that are things that were building blocks and in demand, marketable skills, if you will, for hire. So I started doing like some little side projects, like freelancing, building websites, doing design work. without like even realizing it, there I was stepping into a career in marketing. And then my full-time roles, like following college, were more comms based. I was doing more like in the nonprofit space and doing, yeah, more like marketing comms, I would say. I actually had an internship at the Walker. I know you guys are up there in Minnesota. That was a really cool experience to do a PR internship with the Walker. And I loved all of that, mission-driven work, but I would say had a bit of a career pivot happen when I stepped into the tech world and with my first true marketing job, where marketing was in my title. I was a marketing specialist for a startup here in Chicago called FeedBurner, and that totally reshaped the trajectory of my career, I would say. Suddenly I went from just marcom stuff to being immersed in digital advertising, digital publishing, engineering teams, product launches, all this stuff surrounding SaaS marketing that I really didn't even know existed prior to that. And FeedBurner was acquired by Google. And so I ended up on the product marketing team at Google. And so again, just kind of catapulted into a different career trajectory. And that's ultimately, how I got into SaaS marketing and, where I am today.
Yeah, sometimes it's a accidental kind of bounce around and land somewhere kind of thing. I totally remember the computer labs and like using things like LexisNexis to do like research and
Totally.
yeah, that's very similar in the sense that you didn't realize it at the time, but it was kind of setting the tone for the future.
Yeah, and I think about that now. I mean, in this era we're in with all the, we're at the very early days in a way of like AI stuff, and like, what will we look back in, 5, 10 years and say like, oh, we didn't have that. How could you even live without that? Or the way things were before versus after, there's going to be a pretty distinct split, I think.
Yeah. So now you're at NinjaCat. So
Mhm.
tell us more about, what is NinjaCat? What did it start out as and what is it going to be tomorrow?
Yeah, so NinjaCat is a marketing analytics platform that started out about 14 years ago, actually, was born out of agency need for client reporting at scale. And the CEO and co-founder, Paul Derival, really saw that need and built that need for pulling together all the disparate digital marketing data sources to report out to your clients, week after week, month after month. And so built the software solution to do that. And then, over the course of almost 15 years, grown the business. And in the last like 3 years, I would say, we've really take a shift to be more of a data centric platform, and an AI agent building platform. So the core piece of a lot of reporting challenges is that unified data. So at the core, like NinjaCat has been trying to solve that since the inception of the business. But why that matters now in the age of AI is like without unified and clean data that's machine readable, AI can't do its thing. So core unified data that AI can act upon is where the business is headed, and where we're really seeing success now is enabling marketing teams to come in and build their own agents on top of that unified data that's already in place. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. But it's really, really exciting time to be. I mean, there's so many. Everybody's building AI into their product. We're kind of really separated out AI into a new product on top of our older platform.
So you've got the AI agents that you're helping agencies with, but then is there
Mhm.
also AI that's incorporated into the reporting aspect of it as well? So not only, are you looking at data within these dashboards and producing reports, but can you engage with it and have a dialogue and have it do some of the analysis for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But a lot of that is actually driven by the agents now. So there are ways of summarizing data at scale so that you could pull an executive summary from an AI driven report. But the value is really in the custom being able to chat with your data like straight up. So depending on what data source you were interested in, getting those insights to prepare for the reporting. And then, also being able to on the fly build dashboards, if you will, if you want to call it that, but they're really custom apps, like data apps that can be built using the agentic technology. So like a regular marketer in plain language, essentially vibe coding a dashboard like on the fly. So it's pretty cool stuff. And I would add that, we're now servicing uh, enterprise brand marketing teams in addition to agencies. So while agencies were kind of our core ICP for the journey so far, we are getting a lot more traction with brand direct.
And you've been at NinjaCat 5 years now.
Yeah, it'll be 5 years in January.
Very
Time
cool.
flies.
So tell me, I think NinjaCat's got an incredible culture.
hmm
And I think Paul's done a good job of leading with love, if you will, if I remember that being kind of the mantra. Tell us more about that. And obviously, being there 5 years, you've seen a few iterations of it, but what's the culture like now?
Yeah, well, I think something that is unique about NinjaCat is they were fully remote from the get-go. So 14 years ago, I don't think that that was, a common place for most companies to be. I think post-pandemic, it became more of the norm, but they've been remote first from day one. I think they did have there was a small office at one point, but in my tenure there, there's never been a physical office. We have all been fully remote. And so, I mean, I think that takes a certain type of person to be successful in a company like that is fully remote, that and people that will stay as well, because that it requires a level of like self-motivation, a high amount of communication and async communication. And again, I think that this is becoming more of the norm in the world we're living in. But yeah, I think that that's been something unique from the culture he's driven. And then I believe it was, I'm trying to remember if it was 3 or 4 years ago, Paul was really into promoting this idea of the 4-day work week. And, we've had 4-day work week for at least 3, if not 4 years that I've been there, which is a really cool concept. But again, I think only works when you've got people on the team who feel high personal accountability and, really clearly aligned around a common set of goals. I don't think that can work everywhere unless you have those things in place. A lot of trust is required. Obviously, there are certain teams that will need to like rotate, because support and CS, and I think that it's also something that it's not like I don't work on Fridays. I mean, that's not the mentality either. It's like,
Right.
if a customer needs a meeting on a Friday or an external partner, I'm available to, have a meeting on a Friday. I think again, it's kind of a mindset of not, we aren't clock punchers, I would say. It's not
Yeah.
like I have to get my 40 hours in here or there. That's really not the culture or the mindset. It's, take the break when you need it. You have this leeway of this flexible schedule. Um, Kind of an extension in a way of unlimited PTO that has been a benefit that many startups have offered for a while for various reasons, but just a level of flexibility, I think. But to your point around the question of the culture, I do think that it elevates people to personal accountability, and that speaks to the tenure of people there. I mean, I feel like I've been there 5 years, but I was mentioning right before this call, we had our end of year all hands, and we always do, a monthly review of whose Ninja anniversary it is. And there's people on that list who have been there, 7, 8 years, and, people stay. So I think that's a real testament to the culture that we've built.
Jess, I would love to learn a little bit more about your role as a marketer at NinjaCat, but also the things that led you to that role. Can you expand on what you do on a day-to-day basis and your role as a marketer?
Sure, of course. So at NinjaCat, I really oversee all of the marketing strategy and the marketing team. So soup to nuts. And we are a small team. So also, I like to say, it's that player coach mentality. We are still very much a lean team. So I'm not at a point, we aren't at a stage of a company where, I'm the marketing leader, I set the strategy, everybody else goes out and executes. I'm very much in the fray with the team. But that said, we do have functional areas for growth marketing, for content marketing. We work with external partners for PR and kind of your standard functions that you need for SaaS marketing. But I really see myself as the orchestrator that ties it all together and makes sure we're on target and rallies the team, uh, and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Do you bring in any of your art from your college days?
Interesting. I mean, I am in Canva for sure. We definitely use Canva to do a lot of kind of scrappy, pulled together things. Also, we have access to amazing actual designers. But I will say, this is an interesting time that we're in where this democratization of the tools, be it Canva or we were talking a little bit earlier about Riverside, Descript, these like awesome tools that are making what used to be highly technical and really specialized much more accessible for everyone. Or everyone who has an interest or a desire to learn these things. It's just the bar to entry is much lower. Now, that said, the output is not always equal, but the bar to trying, you know, is lowered.
Well, and that's great about data as well, which it sounds like is what NinjaCat is solving, because it's really difficult, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but data, if anybody can make an Excel document, but it's like how to interpret that, what to do with it. So, what big problems are you solving for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. That data normalization, harmonization is a huge piece of it. And I mean, you're talking about like one spreadsheet that could be hard, but with the clients we work with often have trillions of rows of data in their data warehouse, their data lake, and it's coming from dozens of platforms. And then they're doing all of that times 100, 200, 1,000 clients. So yeah, it gets the scale is exponential. So that is really, one of the core big hairy problems that NinjaCat has set out to help tackle, specifically in the marketing space, because there are unique differences to the model, if you will, the data model. So like what might be called a conversion over here is called a lead there, is called a click here, or all of these like little discrepancies that in order to report consistently, you need to be able to have a common taxonomy and nomenclature and have that all set up correctly on the back end and in an ongoing way, so that as the new data is coming in, it's mapped correctly and can ultimately show up correctly in the right places.
What role has AI played in helping facilitate more APIs and more accurate data?
Oh yeah, massive. I think that is where the future is headed in terms of using AI for those kind of coding pieces, but also kind of this natural language to SQL. Like I've never been like a marketer that knew how to do that nitty-gritty data detail, but now you can, like with AI, really enables you to just say what you want, because I do have enough experience to know what I want. I don't know all of the hows. I mean, that's why I've been lucky to work with like more subject matter experts over the years to get those specific tasks done. But now it's like you can look to AI to do a lot of those things as long as you know what to ask.
Yeah. So from a B2B marketing perspective, tell us a little bit more about what's working for you right now, what hasn't worked in the past, and just kind of a little bit about your strategy and what you're trying to accomplish with your B2B marketing.
For sure. I think that for us right now, there's always been this longstanding debate, like inbound versus outbound, blah, 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 blah. I just think that it's all it's all bound. And I've been saying this for a couple of years, like, and maybe it's a forcing function of being on a small team and, being a lean team and being everybody's got to squeeze a dollar out of a dime. But I truly believe that you've got to be working hand in hand with your sales partners to be effective marketers. So I think that that's a big thing that I've been pushing for and that has been effective for us at NinjaCat, is not thinking about like, oh, what does the inbound funnel look like separate from the outbound? And we've really embraced ABM as an approach, and this idea of like it, especially what we are selling is enterprise software. I should note it's a different motion than like a product-led growth SaaS, where somebody, it is primarily inbound driven, and there's different tactics for that. But specifically for an enterprise sales motion, which we are at NinjaCat, marketing's role is really to, make the brand visible to the right accounts at the right time. But knowing that what is the right accounts, you've got to have like lockstep alignment with sales, so that you are warming those accounts on the marketing side, so that outbound has a better chance of breaking through. And not to mention the outbound is a whole new ballpark. I think these days with the rise of AI outbound, just like that scale of which, everybody is receiving the outbound cold messaging. I think that you have to even more lean into your marketing strategy to warm the right accounts, to even break through with outbound. So that was a very long way of answering, but I do think that that's kind of how my philosophy right now on the enterprise go-to-market motion for us in any case.
If you wouldn't mind, it'd be fun if you kind of gave us a failure story. Like, what did you guys try that totally just flopped, where you're like, I've seen a lot of people do.
I got a great
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
yeah, share
I
it.
just mentioned it. So the AI SDR stuff, complete flop for us. Like about this time last year, we were like, everybody's talking about, I'm not going to throw the specific provider under the bus. It was getting a lot of press. There were like a couple of these, AI outbound SDRs that were like hot new startups getting tons of funding. We're like, let's just go it. Let's just give it a try. Zero, zero meetings. And it was a really heavy lift to set up. And again, we're a lean team. So this idea of, there's just this magic wand and like suddenly like pipeline's going to flow. No, not the case at all. And I wouldn't say we went into it blindly. We aren't fools. We were hopeful, like this starry-eyed like promise of like AI will solve these really hard problems. I think it can and will, but that particular use case at that point in time, and this was Q1 of this year, total failure for us. Then I don't think that like that necessarily means that AI outbound is a 100% a failure. I think it's just like that particular tool, and the way we went about it just wasn't working for us. But yeah, I think that the lessons learned there were really around context is everything. So the lift that it took for us to try to set up the context in this new platform. Whereas now I think some of the existing platforms we were already using have maybe have definitely caught up. I mean, there's this like race, right? Like it was this kind of point solution that we were trying. So I guess that's another lesson that comes out of it, to be honest, is like all this stuff is moving so quickly. Like literally, what is the hot tool in Q1 of 2025 is like maybe a failed business by Q4 of 2025. Like this is like the reality of how fast things are moving. And a lot of the SaaS tools that are going to survive this like revolution are, way ahead of implementing those forward-looking ideas and processes into their existing tool, because you just aren't going to make it if you as a SaaS company, if you aren't incorporating AI.
So you also have a podcast. So tell us about that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a podcast, right? I feel like
Everybody
that's
has a podcast.
like, we're so meta. We're like podcasting about podcasting, but and we touched on this before. I mean, I think that's what's really cool about this era we're in though now is that due to the tools that are available, it's really democratized the access. So it's easier than ever to get started with something like a podcast, which before would have required expertise and tools that might have been cost prohibitive or labor intensive. But that said, I mean, the easy part with anything is getting started, right? The difficult thing is sustaining, and that consistency is critical to success. So, sure, start a podcast, but it all comes back to fundamentals really of like your content strategy or your marketing strategy. You've got to have a why. You need to have that clear through line in your content, like a reason for somebody to keep coming back. And that's how you're going to grow an audience and actually make meaningful content that supports your larger marketing strategy. It's not just like a one-off recording or this thing that we do on the side. It's got to tie to ultimately, a brand building goal or whatever you want to align it to in your marketing strategic pillars, but it needs to tie to something, and it can't be a one-off, and it can't be, inconsistent. You got to keep it going at least for a certain period of time. And I think that, people really underestimate how much of that strategy goes into every single episode. I mean, it's not just showing up and like having a chat. It's the guests that you choose. It's the topics you prioritize. Do these topics actually align with our brand and company's narrative?
Yeah, you're 100 episodes in, so
Mhm.
that's amazing. So what would you tell somebody right now that's thinking about starting a podcast? What would be the two or three things that you'd want them to make sure they think about and think through before they do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got to give yourself some time, but you've also got to set out that consistent publishing cadence, if you will. I mean, it's not unlike when everybody had a blog and now everybody does have a blog, but you've got to not think of it as like, oh, when the mood strikes, I'm going to go push
Yeah.
this out to the world. You need an editorial calendar. You need really that you've got to operationalize that workflow. So, I think that's where most podcasts are going to succeed or fail. It's like there's just so many steps,
And
guest outreach, all
how
of that.
would you
Yeah.
measure success of your podcast?
Yeah. I mean, I think that obviously audience growth. I mean, if a podcast falls in a forest and nobody's there to hear it, did it make a sound? Are people tuning in? Are you getting those downloads? Are you getting those views? And that's, a bit of a vanity metric, you might say, but it's truly like if people aren't listening, it's probably worth rethinking whether it's worth the effort, because it is a heavy lift to get it done.
Because you don't necessarily know who the listeners are, right? And you've got to get
Exactly.
them to somehow share their information with you so you can continue to market and nurture those. But I think a lot of people, they're doing a podcast because it's a great long form piece of content that they can use to splice up and
Hmm.
turn into blogs and turn into posts and eventually turn into maybe a even longer form ebook or do a webinar variant of it or whatever. But in some cases, it's kind of the core long form piece of content that you're going to leverage for that particular week or month or quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that requires, strategic marketing thinking to think about it that way for sure. Because I mean, I think that you've got to be able to repurpose any asset you're doing multiple ways. And so, yeah, it's absolutely true of a podcast as well, especially because it's so rich. You can pull out nuggets across different episodes or different guests and, thread those ideas together. So,
Yeah. To your point, it has become easier, but it's still not like, there's still a lot of production work, post-production work that goes on, as well as some of the prep work. So I think a lot of people make it look really easy, but as you know, there's some time involved. And even though there's great tools making it easier, then I think there's people that had podcasts, 14 years ago. I can only imagine the work that they had to put in from an editing and a production perspective. So a lot of
well,
time
fun
spent in that.
fact, I was part of producing the Feedburner podcast 20 years ago. So
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
I
Yeah.
wasn't, this isn't my first podcast rodeo, but yeah, I think that it's been around for a while and it has, certainly had a renaissance in recent years. But I think that the truth of the matter is like if you can't just, it's not a checkbox like we have a podcast, like you said. It's in the consistency, it's in the reflecting back on like where does this fall in our actual strategy, and you know being able to build upon it from there.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So, Jess, you've done a lot and you orchestrate a lot. What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting out and like aspiring to be in a role like yours?
Yeah, I think that early on it is important to be that sponge to take in as much as you can in whatever marketing org you've landed in. Just come with the mindset of curiosity. So even if your role is niche and growth marketing or you're a product marketer, having that ability to ask questions of your teammates and really listen to how it all ties together. Because I do think that, the marketers of the future aren't really necessarily going to be niche anymore, with AI kind of taking some of those roles. I think that it's important for you to be leveling up, to have that more strategic view of things. And that's easier said than done. I mean, it takes it takes a lot of experience, but you only will get that experience if you are open to asking the right questions and listening to across departments, or cross team, to better understand how it all fits together. Because I think that it's easy, especially when you're new to something, to really get stuck in your silos. Like, I am email marketer, I must know my open rates and my CTRs, and that's all I, you know and you want to master that, and that's fine and good, but you've got to start understanding how that fits into the bigger picture, and that's how you'll start to become more of a strategist rather than just a functional marketer.
Right. That's great advice. And something I see quite a bit too is just even if you want to be in that general area, you can, a generalist, but having the thing that I think we're all seeing that AI can't replace well right now is that strategy or synthesizing the data across multiple functions and saying, you can feed all that to AI, but it will come up. How I like to use AI is actually give it the information, and what it will do is give me the most basic answer, like
Mhm.
the the easiest path forward, and so it's like, okay, well, that's what everybody would think of. Is there something else that we should be doing, or something further and deeper into this? Like when I'm managing campaigns, that's what I'm thinking about, or things like that. But anyway, I think that's great advice for anybody who is starting out, to just be a sponge and ask questions, come to work with a good attitude.
And look outside of work. I mean, I think that, like, I mean, I'm saying within your organization, but I think that you've got to, be able to fuel fuel your outside perspective from whether it's, specific newsletters or podcasts you listen to, or, whatever can give you that industry best practices or new ideas, because you don't only want to be, siloed within your organization. So you're going to get great ideas when you go outside and see what others are doing as well.
Okay, cool. So I've got a few final questions for you, kind of a rapid fire, and then we can close out with somebody that you'd like to lift up that is doing well in marketing. But what's something that marketers should stop doing right now?
Stop being overwhelmed by everything that's coming at us, because it's like there's a new tool, there's a new this, that, the other. It's just you gotta not be overwhelmed with all the news and just focus on your fundamentals and your principles.
Yeah, stay true to the core
Yeah.
fundamentals.
Yes.
We've heard that come up before as well. I like that. What SaaS brand right now do you think is absolutely killing it?
Play. I think they do a great job.
What specifically stands out for you?
Well, first of all, they have a lot of customers that are speaking on their behalf that the product really works extremely well. So, number one, obviously a product that sells itself by being great is a great product to market. But no, I think that just the visual brand I love. I think it's really, really cool. All the stuff they do, and leaning into that clay metaphor is really
Yeah.
fun. Of course, brand is not just the visual brand. We know this as marketers, but I think
Yeah.
they do that really excellently. But they have, the good product marketing foundation to go behind it.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me, are you doing anything really unique in terms of testimonials, reviews, or forums to kind of position NinjaCat as a resource among specific groups?
Well, we're partnering with the 4As, which is a newer partnership for us, and really leaning into partnering more with the holding co agency groups, and then on the brand side, we have a partnership with Snowflake that is really going to be helpful for us, as our platform is built on Snowflake, so that it's just kind of a no-brainer to be able to work side by side with them as we grow our joint customer base.
Yep.
Nice.
Those are good strategic partners for sure. If you weren't in marketing, what would you be doing instead?
Yeah, I love this one because I was thinking I would love to own an antique or an art shop. I think it
Aw.
goes back to like my art history roots. I love things with a story. I love things that have history. And I've always loved like thrifting and like that thrill of the treasure hunt, antiquing. So yeah. And maybe it's not mutually exclusive. Maybe I'll do that. Might as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the one thing that we like to do with all our episodes is ask our guest, who do you know that's out there, an up and comer that you'd like to lift up and recognize for some of the work they're doing in marketing?
Okay, well, we've already mentioned him, but I was going to give my shout out to NinjaCat CEO and co-founder Paul Daraval. I just think that what has done as an entrepreneur and leading our team into this future fearlessly is truly innovative, and his ability to have the vision and stay optimistic. I mean, if you've met the guy, he's just like relentlessly optimistic. And so I think that is something I truly admire, and it's a real gift that he has, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to work with him.
Thank you, Jess, so much. It was really great to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining the LiftKit Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, John Hoft, founder of LiftKit Marketing, a consultancy dedicated to supporting agencies and marketers with their digital growth strategies.
And I'm the co-host, Danielle Schermerhorn, a former agency owner and current e-commerce specialist with deep experience across both brand and agency sides of the marketing world.
Each week, we'll bring you conversations with marketing professionals who are doing great work, whether they're leading teams, building campaigns, launching products, or just figuring it out behind the scenes.
Our guests will share their personal journeys, the real stories behind their success, the challenges they faced, and the wins they're most proud of. We'll also hear what's next for them and what they see on the horizon for the industry.
At LiftKit Marketing, we believe in celebrating people, recognizing great work, and lifting up those who are making an impact. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode.